Another point is money. Talking about money, career, and pressure to succeed abroad. So this stage, this stage of journey is what I call the great performance. In other words, in quotes, the great performance. In Kenya, running, you are running a race. In Germany, you are running a race while carrying a heavy backpack. In Swahili, you say like bagi kwenye mgongo. Yeah, you are carrying this heavy backpack uphill, going through it in the snow, and people are still asking why you are not running faster. So that's how it feels like. That's why it's the great performance, kind of a journey. It is a grueling mix of high stakes bureaucracy, economic shock, and the psychological weight of being the hope for everyone back home. Yeah, back home, a salary of 3,000 euros sounds like a fortune. Yeah, for most people, nobody sees the Lohnsteuer, in other words, income tax, the health insurance, the high rent. Yeah, it's so expensive, especially at the moment. And they also don't see the grocery that has become expensive. Things like cucumbers, paprikas, they cost like 5 euros or something. Nobody sees that. So the reality, you are living the middle class life by German standards, which feels like struggling, but because you have no safety net. That's why, like, you have no safety net because you are living abroad. Yeah. So the guilt when a family asks for money to build a house or pay some school fees for their kids or whatever need they have at that time when they're asking you money, they are calculating based on the exchange rate, not your cost of living. Yeah, saying, if you say that I don't have it, yeah, it's always or often met with disbelief or the accusation that you've forgotten where you're coming from, or kind of like you are selfish or you don't want to help, something like that. When it comes to career, glass ceiling and proving your worth, literally that's how it feels like. You're constantly in this kind of self-proof or self-worth proving kind of a path journey. There's a subtle but perverse hierarchy in German job market. Even with your qualifications from Kenya or maybe here, there is a foreign tax on your credibility. The competence gap is only you find yourself in meetings where your suggestions are ignored, and until a colleague, usually the local from here, not a foreigner like you, says the exact same thing, that's when it's recognized. So you aren't just doing your job. You are constantly auditioning for the right to hold your title, the title that other local colleague also has it, the same thing, but they don't have to prove themselves because they are local and they are not foreigners. But you, unfortunately, you have to fight to hold your title. And then there's also something called industry segregation. You notice that foreign-friendly industries often involve care work or manual labor, while corporate leadership remains remarkably homogeneous. If you switch from medicine to IT, which I did, you aren't just learning code. You are fighting the assumption that you only transitioned because you couldn't hack it elsewhere. Yeah, and then there's also this part like the visas. Yeah, in Kenya, your right to exist in your home is given. Now I'll use a Swahili word. Your right to exist, it's given. Jamani. Yeah. But in Germany, your life is packaged in 2-year increments, like 2-year visa, 3 years, I don't know. It depends. Some even have a 6 months type of visa. That's how your life of existence depends on that part. And there is anxiety that comes with living like that. Like every visa appointment at the Ausländerbehörde. Here I'm using again the Ausländerbehörde word, but I don't know how to translate it in English. Usually these are the places like institutions where you go as a foreigner to express, or not to express, but to apply or extend your visa. I'm struggling to find, but I'll find the word in English, the correct word in English. Yeah. So you find like you have anxiety because you live on this, your life existence is, it's dependent on the type of visa you have. Yeah. So you have anxiety each time when you go to Ausländer Behörde. It feels like a trial. You're going to the court. They're about to decide whether you are staying or leaving. You know that one grumpy, hey, those people, by the way, shout out to those people at Ausländer Behörde. They are those people that are so mean. I don't know why they are so unfriendly to strangers they don't even know. But anyway, that's a topic for another day. But during these appointments, you know that one grumpy officer from those institutions at Ausländer Behörde, or one minor paperwork error could undo your years of tax payment or tax contributions, friendships that you built from scratch, jobs, yeah, career paths. Some even have families that it could break all that. One wrong move, that's it. So there's the psychological toll that comes with it. You can't truly settle or invest in a home because your permission to stay is conditional. This creates a state of permanent transience. You are physically in Germany, but mentally you are packed and ready to move, or ready to move whenever it is said or decided, like, hey, time to go. So there's this other thing I want to talk about, the burden of the dream. Remember the dream I mentioned earlier, the dream that you've made it once you've crossed the borders, like all the way from Africa to whatever country you're coming from as a young woman, all the way to US, Germany, Austria, or whatever country you are. Once you've crossed that borders, for some other people it means you've made it, you are living the dream. So the hardest part is always the disconnect between your lived reality and the Instagram, Facebook kind of picture that you post. It could be like you posted a picture of you sitting in, how do you call it, in Englischer Garten in Germany, Englischer Garten in English garden. Maybe you're just sitting down and you took this wonderful picture and you want to share it on Facebook or TikTok. Nowadays there's so many threads, yeah, or Pinterest. You just post there, yeah. You felt good, and I don't think like you are posting it to show off. Everybody is entitled and has a right to post whatever they want to post. Maybe you just wanted to share the beautiful moment, how you felt that time, so you posted it. But this picture will be seen back home by people back home, and they'll interpret it. They'll think like, wow, you've made it, please remember us. Why don't you also organize for us also to come and visit you and enjoy that beautiful life you're enjoying there? Mark you, it's just a picture you've posted, yeah? Organize visas for us so that we can also come and hang out. We can come and visit you and enjoy that part. I never understand that part, honestly. Like how you can just look at somebody's picture and just assume that everything is fine. The truth is that they even make comments like, please remember us, don't forget us, or don't even forget where you're coming from. Like, really? So they didn't see you, they forget or not forget. The truth or the reality you're living is that they don't see those moments where you are crying in the bathroom because the language barrier felt like a wall that you'll never get through. Or when a stress trying to make ends meet after you've sent all your paycheck back home, yeah, or back to Nairobi or to whatever African country you're coming from. They don't see all that. All they see, like, you've posted a picture and life must be great because you cannot say that you don't have it. It's, I don't know. This is always a very sensitive and interesting topic, and I think this, at some point, we'll also extend it to one whole episode to just talk about like even to try and understand the mentality behind it. Like, it's almost exhausting that you can't explain. Whatever you explain, people don't see it as reality, not unless they all fly over and come and see how life is like here. That's when people back home will truly understand. Like, life is expensive here, just like it's a struggle everywhere. In fact, it's double struggle here as compared to home. How do you protect your peace in such situations? Protecting your peace means realizing that you cannot, I repeat, you cannot fund everyone's life at the expense of your own. That is impossible. You have to redefine success as survival and stability, not just being a human ATM. So the two realities, like a comparison how to survive the pressure and radical transparency. Sometimes you have to be honest with the family. Send them a screenshot of how did it screenshot? Maybe the Lu and me is now heating up. The screenshot. She sells the seashells at the seashore. Yeah, send them the screenshot of grocery shopping. Maybe they'll see if maybe. I think there's always a way. Either they travel over so that they can see how life is hard. It's not that just given and easy. Or you send them screenshots of a grocery shopping so that they can see how life is also expensive, or how much you pay rent. You need to be honest and tell them, send them, so that they can know, break the myth, so they understand the weight you carry. But sometimes if I come to think of it, mostly the distant relative, they never understand. They never understand. However hard you try to break the myth, it's never clear to them. It's almost like you're talking to the wall. But anyway, you need to learn to, you explain. If it is taken well, fine. If it is not understood, then you can also you can't make people understand. If they choose still to believe what they believe, let them. Here we go, the let them mentality. Yeah. So community over competition. Find other Kenyan or African experts in similar industries. They are the only ones who truly understand the visa anxiety. Hey, the visa anxiety. The visa anxiety and proving your self-exhaustion. You have to constantly prove yourself, then you have visa problems. Anyway, forgive yourself. Forgive yourself. Forgive yourself. You are allowed to be in progress. Yeah, you don't have to have a mansion built by the age of 30 just because you moved to Europe. You don't have to satisfy somebody's financial expectation just because you moved to Europe. Your primary responsibility is to be the woman you see in the mirror. Yeah, she is the one that is doing the hard work. She's the one that is struggling. The woman in the mirror is you, and you need to give yourself grace. So another point I wanted to mention is building community from scratch. So nobody talks enough about the loneliness that comes after the excitement of moving abroad fades. At first, everything feels exciting, new country, new culture, especially if you came to Germany during October season, or October end of September, beginning of October. It's a festive season, Oktoberfest. You kind of get the experience of Germanization or the German culture. It's quite exciting to come to Germany during that time because nobody cares so much. They only care about at that time just the festive season. So you get the experience. Then one day it hits you. You don't really have the people here. That's when it like ding, some alarm hits you that you don't actually have people here. And building friendship abroad is not easy, especially as an adult. And honestly, finding genuine friendship within your own community can sometimes be surprisingly difficult. It's so difficult, people. Not every Kenyan you meet abroad automatically becomes your friend. Sometimes you meet dishonest people that teaches you teaches you lessons. Sometimes jealousy happens. People are human. Sometimes friendship break apart because everyone is struggling silently in different ways. Even friends you came with abroad, the one that you moved abroad with, that maybe you knew each other, you went through the same struggle, you come here, fallout happens. People, survival mode changes people, stress changes people. So over time you become more careful about who you allow close to you or who you allow in your space. You start paying attention to energy, consistency, and honesty. And friendship with locals can also be quite challenging. And not because there are no good people, there are absolutely good people that you could be potentially friends with, but sometimes there's this invisible distance. Like sometimes superiority complex show up subtly because of race or cultural differences. And even when friendships with other Africans can take time because every African culture is quite different, speak different language, and trust takes time, you know. Communication styles differ since you're all coming from different cultures and whatnot. Expectations differ. But one thing I've learned in this is that community abroad doesn't just happen automatically. You build it intentionally, slowly, painfully sometimes. But when you finally find people who understand your experience without needing to explain everything, it always feels like, how do I explain it? It feels like a breath of fresh air, like oxygen. Another point that I wanted to talk about is dating abroad, expectation, culture clashes, and the red flags. If you're new here, if you haven't watched we have our previous episode where we are talking about the red flags edition. You can go watch it out, but this is just another something to emphasize on this topic. Yeah, dating abroad deserves its own documentary. I think this is a topic that will, it's a never ending topic, honestly, because the curiosity or the culture shock alone, it's on another level. Enough that curiosity, the culture shock, or the culture different is enough to create content for 10 episodes. Yeah, because it's a lot. So the dating norms are quite different from what many of us grew up with. Things like open relationships, can we stay? And it's not that I'm judging anyone. It's different from what we know. Open relationship, can we stay kind of style. Those people don't know what can we stay is. Basically like you meet a guy and you fall in love and then somehow you move in together. That's what basically where I come from we call can we stay. So there's the situationships. That is something that I'm also quite old fashioned. I don't know how to define it. Situationship, I don't know, are you living together or not? Are you hooking up? I don't know. So there's that situationship that is also quite different from what I grew up with. And there you are, trying to find your other significant other. And dating as an African woman abroad comes with its own unique experiences. Because sometimes people are attracted to you out of curiosity, not that they just want to know the kind of person you are, but they're just curious. Yeah, there's this fetishization. Basically it's more like they would be curious about you to date an African woman, because an African women are always grouped as submissive, because they assume, they are curious how submissive you can be, you know. And so sometimes they find you beautiful enough to date you casually because they are testing fresh waters, or they're just trying this thing, something new. So you are out there dating this type of person, you think like it's leading somewhere. No, they're just dating you casually but not seriously. And that realization can really hurt deeply. And some people will happily enjoy your emotional support. These are sick ones. Your care, your nurturing, energy, and when it comes to commitment, forget it. They won't want to commit and to be in a relationship, the kind of relationship you think should be out there for you. So suddenly they when it comes to commitment, you find out that they leave you there hanging. They go back to their own, what consider as normal or familiar. That's the word. They just go back to what they consider as familiar to them, and you're left there hurt, you know. Well, but unfortunately, manipulation exists everywhere, because this can only happen through manipulation. You get manipulated thinking like this is a serious relationship where you give your all, your energy, your emotional support, sometimes it's financial, and then suddenly there's no commitment, you're dropped there, they go back to their own. Then you realize all this time you are being manipulated. So unfortunately, it exists everywhere. Manipulation exists everywhere, not only abroad. But that's also some of the things that we are figuring out abroad in a different culture and learning. So whether it's even, I think, yeah, in Africa as well. Yeah, so there are people who pretend to love you while slowly using you emotionally. These people, this will also be a topic, like I mentioned earlier. This part or this point is a point for 10 episodes, just talking about this, because there's a lot to talk about, there's a lot to unveil when it comes to that area. Yeah, they just pretend that they love you while slowly using you emotionally, financially, like literally, seriously, financially, and then mentally, domestically. At the end, they suck out all the juice in you, that you're left there like the skeleton of a human being without the juice. The vibrant kind of aura you had is all gone, because you thought like we are in this together, but actually you're not, being manipulated. And because many immigrants are lonely, usually this is when we fall into this trap. You find yourself lonely, and then you fall into the trap of this manipulator that wants to just test the waters. Where am I rocking my head? Yeah. So sometimes we ignore the red flags. These red flags are always there. Like, you know exactly that this a manipulator, you know them from the beginning. But because the fact that you are all alone here navigating life abroad, you ignore the red flags. And then all you want or you care about is to feel connected to this Mr. Right, or the so-called significant other. But then over time, you come to learn, when you hit the rock bottom, become more aware. You stop romanticizing bare minimum behavior, because those are the red flags you ignore at the beginning. You stop confusing. What is that there? Okay, my face is so shiny. So you stop confusing attention with genuine love. And honestly, some of these hardest dating experience abroad teach you the most boundaries that you can build out there for yourself. You learn about the type of standard in a relationship that you want to build for yourself or to set up for yourself. You heal your wounds, or you get wounded, and then you start the process of healing. And of course, as they always say, once bitten, twice shy. You learn from your wounds, and of course, ultimately, you learn about your self-worth, never to fall into the hands of a manipulator again. To wrap all this up, I have realized that living in Germany has turned me into a bit of a human Bauhaus. Bauhaus is a German word. It's almost like I think if I translate it directly from German into English, it's a Bauhaus is like a house under construction. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section. So so it has turned me into a Bauhaus in the sense of like I feel like a project, a house project. Yeah, a minimalist, yeah, minimalist, functional, and slightly under construction at all the times. But if I'm being truly vulnerable, I am still unlearning the Kenyan habit of looking over my shoulder for approval. I am learning that self-awareness is a double-edged sword, and it's beautiful to finally know who I am, but I am terrified to realize that this one self, or this my new self, is the only person that is steering the wheel. That is so scary. Like, you don't have a safety net to fall on. It's just you, either you steer the wheel or you fall off the wagon, or you fall off the boat. So I've also had my aha moment, and my aha moment is that I used to think that if I just work hard enough, found the right partner, or reached a certain level of Germanness, putting it quote in quote, I'll finally be saved, I'll be finally accepted, I'll be safe. But the cold hard truth, colder than the winter in Germany, is that nobody is coming to save you. Nobody is coming to save you. Not the German boyfriend that still doesn't understand why you need 16 different hair products to maintain your hair. Not the friends who love you, but also they are struggling with their own visa problems or their own messy life or relationships. Not even the kids you might have, who will probably grow up and roll their eyes whenever they listen to your story, saying like, back home in Kenya we used to do this and this. You are on your own. Like I mentioned earlier, you're the only captain of that boat. You are the only one who needs to steer the wheel, whether to go left or right. You are the only one who has to make the decision, and no one is coming to save you. The funny and messy reality is that I am still learning to love myself when I'm not being productive. Because I thought, like, if I just try hard enough, if I just try to be more German enough, if I try to even to hide my accent, that I will be accepted. So I am learning this thing, to love myself when I'm not productive. In Kenya, I was a human being in doing. In Germany, I'm trying to be a human being. I am trying to be that human being, not a robot. Some days, my self-love looks like a sophisticated skincare, where I just do my skincare and read affirmations, encourage myself, look at myself in the mirror and tell myself, you are good enough the way you are. You don't have to change yourself, bend yourself, change how you look, explain yourself constantly. You are just enough. On other days, self-care looks like, to me, like wrapped up in a blanket, eating cereals or whichever snack I am in the mood of that day. I'm just sitting, watching a Netflix, just enjoying, and honestly refusing to feel guilty that I haven't built a bungalow house back home like it is expected of me. Refusing to feel guilty that, oh, I didn't fulfill somebody else's financial expectation back home. Those are the days I just take it away and just tell myself, like, you can't be responsible for everyone else. You can't carry everyone else's troubles on your back. I am learning that no is a complete sentence, as cliche as it sounds. I am learning that now. When I say no, it is no. I am learning that other people's opinions of my life is none of my business. They can think whatever they think. They can assume whatever I assume. And even lately, I'm always like telling myself, like, whatever they think about me, it is true. Because that is their business. I have no control whatsoever in how they want to assume I am, or the type of pictures or assumptions they have of me in their mind. Let them do it. I have no control over that. So, and honestly, they don't have proper permits to be in my head anyway. Let them do whatever they want. Let them think. If they think I'm selfish, yes, then let me be selfish before I know who I am. If you say that I'm a failure because I haven't built a bungalow back home to show off, do it. Just think I'm selfish, do it. And I am still a work in progress. I'm still figuring out how to be Achieng. By the way, my name is Achieng, by Kenyan Luo name. Yeah, so I am still figuring how to be Achieng without the weight of 1,000 expectations. I am learning that the most important relationship I'll ever have is with the woman I see in the mirror every day, and that all those other people's opinion should not be any of my concern. Enough about me and my existential crisis. I want to hear from you guys. What's one thing moving abroad forced you to learn or unlearn? What is something you realized you had been outsourcing to other people? Things like, is it validation? Is it happiness? Is it love? Is it identity? Tell me in the comment section. And what was your villain origin story? Moments where you realized you had to become your own hero. Let me know all that in the comment section. Drop your experiences in the comments. Let's have an honest conversation. Let's build community here. And because one thing we are definitely learning on this journey, living and navigating life abroad, is that none of us are figuring it out alone. Thank you guys so much for watching or listening to this episode of Abroad and Growing podcast. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share this episode with someone else who is navigating life abroad. And remember, we are all becoming, whether it's slowly, painfully, messy, beautifully, we are all becoming. So guys, see you in the next episode. Bye.